About race time in Portland, Oregon. The Portland Intrasquad meet number 2 on USATF.tv. Bob Acamey and Paul Swangard. On the clock, it is race time 8:25, but we're still bringing athletes out to the track for the first of our two 5,000 meter races. First featuring the women of the Bowerman Track Club. The men's race followed, scheduled to begin at 8:45. We're on Pacific time here, so for all of you staying up back east, hey, it's Friday night. You can stay up to watch a little track and field action. Two outstanding fields at 5,000 meters and national marks in jeopardy. We've already had world bests set by these fields this year because, of course, there have only been so many races so far. But, again, back on June 30th, a week ago Tuesday, we had a men's and women's 1,500 and 5,000 meter race on this very track. And that night in the women, it was Elise Cranny running what is now the world-leading 14:48:02, the Stanford graduate out of high-altitude Niwot, Colorado. She'll be a pacer in tonight's race. And second in that race was Courtney Frerich, the outstanding steeplechaser out of Missouri via New Mexico. She will also be pacing tonight. The story of this race is going to be Shelby Houlihan, who is currently the American record holder and now has the world best this year at 1,500. She ran that last Tuesday. And Karissa Schweizer, who is just exploding post-collegiate from Missouri. She's second fastest 1,500. She's the indoor 3,000 world leader this year. And, of course, is coming off two great runs at Doha at Worlds last year at 5,000. And Shelby's American record, 14:34:45, impressive in itself at the time in 2018 in Belgium, could very well fall because we have great pacing. And we've talked about that with both the men and the women. I mean, you're going to have Elise Cranny, who goes fast, period, no matter what she's doing, pacing or not. And Frerich, who's got that endurance level of cross-country and steeplechase. And you throw in Colleen Quigley and Gwen Jorgensen and Mariel Hall. And this is going to be a pretty feisty group from the very beginning. And we talk about, pace. We're expecting 70-second laps. I mean, they're going to get into this right away. There's no field to shape up with a group this fall.
No, and the size of this Bowerman Track Club, in a world maybe a decade ago, all of these women probably would be representing, two or three different running groups, perhaps running on their own. Now under one moniker in the Bowerman Track Club. So the benefit of having had some of the women help some of the other women last week to very fast times, now they're going to return the favor and do it here. And Bob, something we should also mention, as we see some of these events popping up, there's another thing driving a lot of these pop-up events is that a lot of these athletes running for major sponsors have in their contracts a requirement of a certain number of valid competition appearances in a given year to meet their contract status. So the reason that we're here today and that it's a U.S. ATF sanctioned event and all the protocols are in place for if there were to be some records that those records could be potentially ratified is all again this really challenging season that we're in and giving the athletes the best opportunity to maintain their status with their sponsors, maintain their health and wellness as runners, and what we'll hopefully see tonight is a true reflection of what we all come to track meets to see runners running at their best.
All right, well, let's show you the lineup for this race. Wearing bib 301 is Elise Cranny, Stanford, 2018, originally from Niwot, Colorado. She is the world leader right now at 14:48:02.
Been a solid runner, and that was a real breakthrough moment for her as, finished 7th in the national championship a year ago in Des Moines. Very versatile runner, a U.S. champion in cross country back in 2014, and a 2014 World Junior Championship competitor, just finishing off the podium in 4th.
Wearing bib 302 is Courtney Frerich out of Nixa, Missouri. Went to Missouri, Kansas City, finished up in New Mexico, and that's when she really blew up on the scene. She is the current American record holder in the steeplechase, 9 flat and 85.
What a wonderful moment we had back in 2017 at the London World Championships where Emma Coburn and Courtney Frerich both made the medal stand. And, it's kind of roles reversed now. Courtney, the current American record holder. But again, speaking of the depth in that event, that was a record that we were fully expecting to see at least broken or taken taken a few seconds down by Frericks by the time this season was over.
Native of Philadelphia, University of Texas, Mariel Hall, 2016 Olympian at 10,000.
Yeah, that NCAA championship at this distance back in 2014 has that Olympic pedigree and will be part of this field trying to help a couple of her teammates run fast tonight.
There's Shelby Houlihan, second from the right in your picture, out of Sioux City, Iowa, Arizona State. World 1500 best this year at 4:02:37, and she is the American record holder in this event, 14:34:45.
Also that American record of 1,500 meters and already 13 times a U.S. champion, and she's only 26 years old.
The tall girl is Gwen Jorgensen out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin alum, Olympic gold medalist in triathlon. When she puts her mind to something, watch out. Her PR 15:18:25 set that just a week ago.
Yeah, next to her is Colleen Quigley, and what can you say about Colleen, an NCAA champion in her own right in the steeplechase, made the Olympic final in the steeplechase in Rio in 2016, and will be one of our pacers tonight.
That is Quigley on the far right of your screen. And Karissa Schweitzer wearing 308. She's there in lane 3 right now out of Des Moines, University of Missouri. PR 14:45:18, number 2 in the world, 1,500 this year. Also the indoor 3K world leader this year. Athletes are at the line for the start of the women's 5,000. So again, the pacers will be Cranny, Frerich, and Quigley, all excellent racers in their own right. We'll keep an eye on the splits, expecting 70s, and again, I think we'll get right to speed at the beginning. No field to sort out here, and Quigley takes the point right away, Frerich on her shoulder.
And Bob, maybe we'll get a better look at it when we go around the backstretch for the first time, but that flag that had been waving midway through the backstretch for most of the early evening, now nearly still. So conditions in Western Oregon doing what they normally do at this hour, at this time of year, getting quiet, but for a reason, because this is the time to run fast.
And the temperature has dropped to 77 degrees. The meet on the 30th, we started about an hour earlier, but it was a much cooler evening, and there were some low clouds, so this was strategic, starting the race later. And we talked about the shadows already all the way across the track, so nobody's looking into the sun, wind's down, and it is very, very comfortable. Colleen Quigley, Courtney Frerich taking us through in a perfect 70 to get us started.
Yeah, single file line here. It's all set up with the 3 pacers in front of Houlihan, who is in 4th, and Schweitzer, who is in 5th, followed by Jorgensen and Muriel Hall. But Bob, I think what we'll keep an eye on is just kind of them clicking off these early laps and just being in that position where they're coming through that 3K in about 8:45 to 8:50. You go back to that Belgium race where Houlihan broke the American record. That 3K split, which will be one to keep an eye on, was 8:49, now with 11 laps to run.
Seeing the final 2 positions, Gwen Jorgensen, mentioned she was the Olympic triathlon gold medalist, had set a goal. She retired, became a mom, and then decided to become a marathoner, and she's very big on goal setting. She said her goal was to be the Olympic marathon champion. Well, after an injury and now with no marathons to run, she's refocusing a little bit and maybe thinking 10K. 800 and 220, and we are on the dot, 70-70 to get things started. Jorgensen now thinking 5 or 10K with the Olympics put off a year, but see, for an athlete like that, the interruption of a schedule gives you the time to reset. The marathon ramp-up is so intricate, you only have so many chances. Okay, well, there's no marathons. She can focus on 5:10 and have a little more flexibility in this year. And, again, we don't know what the winter's going to bring at all.
No, and we're seeing that tomorrow in Utah, too, at the St. George's Showdown, where a number of the athletes that were in Atlanta for the Olympic trials are now going to be back on the track running that 5K. Get 2:57 or so, I think, for the first kilometer of this race. And Quigley still out in front as the pacer. Again, the top 3 you see on your screen, all pacing for the 2 women behind them, Houlihan and Schweitzer.
Colleen Quigley, pretty dangerous. She has that mile speed that she brings to this event. She's won the U.S. Indoor Champ. She's won at Milrose, so against good competition. 330 for 1200. 3 perfect 70s. Quigley, native of St. Louis, has a 403 1500, 910 steeple. And she is all about food. Wants to be a dietitian. Now you see Courtney Frericks pushing up just a little more on the shoulder in the second position as we come down to 9 laps to go. Frericks was a gymnast originally before finding track and field. Had a lot of early success in cross country. Again, the American record holder in the steeple, 9 minutes, 0.85. She's 1450.6 for 5,000. So no change in our parade. Quigley, Frerick, Cranny. We come to 1,600. On the dot at 440.
Yeah, Bob, everything going to plan here so far. And no idea going into this race, Bob, whether there'll be some sharing of that front running duty or whether Quigley will just carry herself as far as she can go and then turn it over to Frericks.
But you noticed here, Shelby Houlihan, in fact, the whole group of the what we call the racers versus the pacers, they pushed up already. We come to 8 laps to go, 5:17 on the clock. I don't know what's more impressive, and you've seen all these of Shelby's career, the American record in this event, or what she did, you know, under the conditions of Doha, running it twice.
See Quigley now stepping away and will relinquish her duties here as they come up on 2 kilometers in 5:51.
So 71 for the last lap.
And maybe just a little transition there as Quigley was leading, so
it is Courtney Frerick's turn. Leads Cranny in second. Now again, they're in pace mode. Houlihan close behind. Then Schweizer. Jorgensen. Now Quigley rejoins the pack in the back. And you see Hall picking up the pace a little bit. 7 laps remaining at 6:25.
And I think the only thing that really is kind of odd, and we've been seeing it and talking about it a lot, Bob, with just, you know, now with the MLS back and the Women's Soccer League back, I mean, we have a few spectators here, a few now lining up on the backstretch. You may see some of them now as they go down the backstretch once again. A few folks that have sneaked their way into the adjacent parking lot that are looking through, trying to see if they can be part of what could potentially be some history here. But, you know, it's again, these women have to really manufacture this pace and this energy on their own.
7:01 for 2,400, so we're back to the 70 pace. Tire group still in competition. Quigley, who paced early, still in the race, but has eased off to the back, and you see that Hall has now passed her. And now Houlihan pushing forward, along with Schweizer, along with Jorgensen. And 6 laps remaining at 7:37 in the women's 5,000.
Well, again, we'll be watching the clock here as they come up on 3,000 on this next full circle around the track. 2 years ago in Belgium, 8:49, the time that Shelby Houlihan came through. And again, she was paced by Shalane Flanagan, who is now down here on the main straightaway in a role of coach and supporter for this team.
$2,800 coming up now. 8:12. So that was a 72.
And Bob, we may see a couple of the runners stop at 3,000 meters. They have set up a clock stamp here for that 3,000 meter distance. But again, full 5,000 meters for the racers in front, as they'll now come down the straightaway and will reach 3,000 meters, and Frerick steps to the outside.
So 5 laps to go, 8:47 says the clock. And Elise Cranny goes to the lead. And now we have 4 competitors remaining. Ariel Hall is done at 3,000. By the way, doing the math right now, we're about a 14:40 pace, which will still be 8 to 10 seconds better than last Tuesday's race. 9:21 for 3,000.
That marked, Bob, 3,200 meters. So we'll
32.
Yeah, going back to that 8:45 for 3,000.
3,000, okay.
So, 8:45, 8:47, again, still about 2 seconds faster than what we saw in Belgium. And again, as we set the stage for what will be the windup for these last 4 laps around the track, it's the speed that is capable in really, I think, both Schweitzer and Houlihan, but we've seen it over and over again by Shelby Houlihan. That last lap in Belgium to break the American record was 60 seconds. So having that, coming into that last kilometer within about 10 seconds of the record, I don't see that as being a problem for her to race down.
So last lap was a 69, and here goes Houlihan as Cranny will yield, and this is down to the big 2 who are chasing the time. Shelby Houlihan, Karissa Schweizer. 10:32 for 3,600. So back to a 71. So last week when they went out at 72 pace, but roughly the same group, they dropped it down to 66 for the last 4 laps. We'll see what Shelby and Karissa want to do now.
And you'll see coming into picture Shalane Flanagan here in a moment, talking to both Houlihan and Schweitzer, both looking very comfortable. So impressed with the development and evolution of what Karissa Schweitzer has done. And as it happens in a lot of cases with athletes coming here to work with Schumacher, it takes a couple of seasons for them to get into the rhythm of the system. And she has certainly shown in this particular year that she was very much ready for big things, set the American indoor 3,000 meter record earlier this year before the pandemic, and is now in a position to be in hot pursuit of the current American record holder at 5,000 meters.
Coming to 4,000, less than 3 laps to go. 11:42, that's a 70.
So they're sub 14:40 pace right now, right where they want to be.
Now you see a little more pickup by Schweizer, but still holding the second spot. Likes Houlihan's shoulder. They both know where each other are.
Rest of the athletes now showing that team camaraderie and on the side of the track here, trying to gear them up for these final 2 laps.
800 to go at 12:16. An American record, 14:34. They're on about a 14:40 pace. That would be world best this year. In fact, it would be world best 1-2.
Well, and I think Schweitzer is going to make the move now, and that's probably the smart thing to do. But what will Houlihan do? Fight her off, as usual.
12:50 at 4,400. There's a 68, so the pace picking up now. And remember, Houlihan somehow always has the big burst at the end. I don't mean just the final stretch.
Only 23 women in history, Bob, have run faster than 14:30. And with the speed and this duel now developing here with a lap to run, we're about to see something special.
Shelby Houlihan, Karissa Schweitzer, 13:22 at the bell. Houlihan, a little more relaxed. Schweitzer, a little stronger turn. They're running the same pace.
Now look at Schweitzer. She's trying to get that distance back between her and Houlihan. And for a lot of races in the last few years for Shelby Houlihan, she has not heard footsteps from behind, but she does now with 200 to go.
64 was the last lap. But Houlihan has some left in the tank. She looked much more comfortable the last 400 or 500, and she's got it at the end. And Shelby Houlihan is going to name the number, and this will be the world best this year.
Well, Bob, not only the world's best, but a new American record for Shelby Houlihan. 14:24:18 unofficially. Now 14, I think 61. We'll wait the official result here, but that, again, enormous kick by Shelby Houlihan.
14:23:92 to 14:26:34.
So they both go under the American record, and they both go under 14:30.
Final lap, a 62. So the three splits previous, 4,000 to 44 to 48, 70, 68, 64, and then the final lap from the bell, 62. There you see Cranny and Frerich, who are stayed out after yielding their pacing roles, but still finishing for time. You want one American record? We broke it twice.
Well, we look again at the replay here. I credit where credit's due. Schweitzer gave Houlihan all she could handle on this last bit of the race. But Houlihan takes the victory. Second fastest time ever run on American soil. And the legend grows for Shelby Houlihan.
Continuing to show her range. And this summer, and hopefully we get a chance to see these athletes more, hoping to do that. What will she choose for 2021?
Choose anything she wants at this point.
Choose more than one.
So she moves up to number 12 on the all-time world list with that performance. Schweitzer is among the top performers as well. I think she will end up down at number 14 all-time, but number 2 all-time American. It's just such a remarkable and what's great about so many of these folks on the list, even though we have some legends like Dina Castor, is it's a lot of folks who are still running. Houlihan, Schweitzer, Roberry, Huddle, Cranny, Frerichs. That's just awesome.
And you look in the background there, and you can see Shalane Flanagan. That mask slipped just enough to see a big smile. And she's smiling not just because of that result, but of how well everybody paced, how well this team worked together. It's a great unit. By the way, Cranny's time, 15:32:81. Frerich, 15:32:84. Well, they did a great job on their pacing. All doing their job along with Colleen Quigley, who deserves a lot of credit because she plowed the road early and she did all the pacing for the first 2,000 meters of the race. So it all goes according to plan, and the American record goes down hard. It's now Shelby Houlihan, 14:23:92, Karissa Schweitzer, 14:26:34. A great start to our evening of track and field here at Jesuit High School. And we've got one more great race with another colossal group of talent. There's the men getting ready, the men's 5,000.
What are these guys thinking?
It's like, well, what are we going to do?
Ah,
Can we set some records?
the
Hey,
Bowerman babes always show up, the Bowerman boys.
but we've got an American record, which will be a little tough. We got a Canadian record, which is not out of Ahmed's range at all, and maybe a UK record. Stick around. The men's race is coming up. You're watching live coverage of the Portland Intrasquad 2 meet from Jesuit High School on USATF.tv. Let's get down trackside with Paul Swangard and some of our winners.
Thanks very much, Bob. Houlihan, both under the previous American record, but it stands as yours for a little while longer. Seems like every other year we break the American record in the 5,000. Lot of talk going into this race that you guys were ready to run that fast, but just talk about how the race unfolded for you.
Yeah, we had our awesome teammates out there, and they were nailing what they were supposed to do. The splits were perfect. So, yeah, we just had to kind of squeeze down the last it was about 1,200-ish, 1,400. And yeah, I knew Karissa was gonna try to come up on me and take the lead. She does it every time, and I had decided I was not gonna let that happen. So I just kept finding her off, and yeah, I just tried to have a big kick in the last lap. I had seen on the scoreboard that the projected time was like 14:37. I don't know if it was right, but I was just like, go, the last lap. So that's kind of all I was focusing on, was just trying to finish as hard as I could.
Yeah, and some cool connective tissue to that race in Belgium a couple of years ago. Shalane Flanagan here now barking out orders, not pacing you. But you also blew away the field in that race, and to have Karissa here kind of pushing you along, I think it's a reflection of having this team behind you to have you both go under the previous American record that you had before.
Yeah, I mean, she was actually in that race in Houston as well, so it's
Just
been
20 seconds back.
yeah, it's been really awesome to have her as a training partner, and to see how far she's come. And she's only 3 seconds behind me today, and I know she's gonna get the 5K record at some point. Hopefully, I'm in the race to try to defend it. But yeah, no, it's been awesome to have her as a training partner and see how much she's grown.
Yeah, and Karissa, you're just finding your rhythm here in this team, and it was a transition from your college career, and it seems like and even Shelby can speak to it. I mean, it takes maybe a year to get kind of familiar with the system. When did the confidence really start to kick in? Because what we saw you do in the indoor season kind of got us all excited until this simple, silly pandemic got in the way. But when did you feel the confidence kind of really brewing?
Yeah, I would say just honestly at practice. I'm training with my biggest competitor every day. So just seeing like how she comes to practice every day, and just that energy, and that I'd say we were both like very good teammates, but we're very competitive when it comes to a race. So it's just really cool to see, because we know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but we still battle it out every time. So.
And I know there's a lot of people watching at home just excited to watch the racing again. And as you think about kind of the fans being able to come back and share in the excitement of what you're seeing, we're all just trying to manufacture some fun for everybody. So what does it mean to, you didn't have them here, but they were all watching at home cheering for you and probably pretty excited?
Yes, they were all watching at home. I had to call them right away after this race, and if they're listening, said hi. But yeah, it was just a really cool event that we could put on still with following all the guidelines and stuff. So it was really exciting to have it live.
Yeah, the most important thing was to keep you guys safe and healthy, and you did just that. And listen, we'll be here anytime you guys want to show up at a track and run that fast. It's something we don't want to not show to the rest of the world. Congratulations to you both.
Yes,
all right, Bob, we'll check in with the guys here in just a minute.
It's race time for the men at the Portland Inter-Squad Meet 2 on USATF.tv. Bob Akamian and Paul Swangard with you. The men's race has 9 entrants. We have 4 pacers, and then we have 4 athletes, all of whom are taking shots at some pretty big marks. We're going to start with hip 309. Ahmed, the Canadian, the University of Wisconsin, world champion bronze medalist. First time any Canadian ever won a medal at 5,000 meters. He has absolutely owned this event in Canada going back to his junior days. We've seen him quite a bit on our Athletics Canada coverage. 310 is Chris Derrick out of Naperville, Illinois, Stanford University alum, 3-time USA cross-country championship, world championship qualifier. His PR is 13:08:04. We should mention that Mo's PR 13:01:74, and he set that at the Prefontaine meet here in Oregon back in 2016. Grant Fisher out of Calgary and Grand Blanc, Michigan, Stanford 2019. Ranked number 2 in the world, 13:11:68, did that last week. He's a pacer today, and that was his PR he set last Tuesday in this race. Ryan Hill out of North Carolina State, Hickory, North Carolina, number 4 in the world this year, 13:15:28, will also be pacing today. Evan Jaeger, the new American legend in the steeplechase. 1 year at the University of Wisconsin, turned pro, came here, and is an integral representative of the Bowerman Track Club. Number 3 in the world in 2017. His PR's 13:02.4. Woody Kincaid, big contender tonight out of Littleton, Colorado, ran for the Portland Pilots. 2018 USA 10K champ. His PR 12:50.810 in that race on the Nike campus last September. He's wearing 3:14, and Paul mentioned that documentary on the Portland 5000 last year. It's great. In fact, if you don't think you understand distance racing, watch it, and you will appreciate it so much. Lopez Lamong, 35 years young, out of the Sudan, northern Arizona. The amazing story of the lost boy came to New York State and has become an American legend. 13 flat and 13 is his BR. He is definitely in the mix along with Kincaid and Ahmed tonight. Sean McGorty was brilliant here last Tuesday when 13:11.22 is the world leader now out of Fairfax, Virginia, Stanford 2018. He'll be a pacer tonight, although he might run really fast and stay in this. He's a pretty strong-looking 25-year-old right now. And Mark Scott, one of UK's best, originally University of Tulsa, 8-time All-American there, has a 13:08 5000 indoor, and kind of want to see where he stacks up with fellow countryman Mo Farah.
Well, the women have laid the gauntlet to two women under the previous American record at this same distance, and now a very deep and talented group of men here towing the line for the same distance, 12.5 laps of the track here in twilight as we near the official sunset on this July evening of 8:59 p.m. And you mentioned it, Bob, too. I mean, there are some guys here who are listed as pacers, and I've done a lot of road races where we talk about, pacers who, are paid to stop running. In this case, they may not be paid to stop running, and if they feel good, they may just stay in this race. So it'll be interesting to see just how much racing we actually get, even from some of the guys who were told, just help the other guys along.
There's the gun, and we're underway with the men's 5,000. Well, you think about McGorty, who is on such a tear of the last couple of years. I would guess he will lead, although I see off the bat it is Ryan Hill, followed by Grant Fisher, and then Jaeger, and then McGorty in the 4th spot. So there's the Pacers taking their spots. And then Evan Jaeger, who's such a great racer. I don't know if he's going to go quite as fast, although he's 13:02.
Well, he's just back healthy, and that's the most important thing for him. And whether it's a blessing, he has a little bit more time to get back to the form he was in before that injury. We'll await the results of that over the next several months, leading hopefully to the Olympics in Tokyo next summer. But yeah, I mean, he's back and he's chomping to run, and again, being asked to be part of the pace-setting group here as they come through that first 400 in about 61 seconds.
Yeah, 61:62 was the projected split that would get us to right about 13 minutes.
Well, we'll set the stage of some of the storylines too, Bob. Only 8 Americans have ever broken 13 minutes at this distance. One of them in this race, that's Woody Kincaid. He's 3rd from the back, and the guy right in front of him, Lopez Lamong, is the one guy on the outside looking in. Oh, so close to that mark over the years. His personal best set in that event on the Nike campus last September, 13:00:13. So potential here to be adding to that list of legendary American runners underneath that legendary time of 13 minutes.
So we're in the single file here as we complete 800. And the Pacers led by Ryan Hill and Grant Fisher. 2:05, so it's 62:63 to get us started. Grant Fisher, of course, emerged as an excellent schoolboy runner. Was the Gatorade cross-country athlete of the year twice since we first saw him in the JO ranks. He is Canadian by birth, but family moved to Michigan, so he's always listed Grand Blanc as home base. And that's where he emerged as an American schoolboy runner. 10 laps to go. went to Stanford. He's an NCAA champion as a sophomore. Second in NCAA cross country. He has that cross country grit, which translates well to the track. Because he takes the grit and then goes fast with it. Some cross country runners don't do that. 3:07 for 1200, so a 62.
Yeah, dialing in on that 13-minute pace now. And Ryan Hill, now one of the veterans of this group, even though he's just 29 years of age, had that podium opportunity right here in his backyard when the World Indoor Championships came to Portland back in 2016, was the silver medalist at 3,000 meters, the longest distance competed in at that championship.
134 with 9 to go. Yeah, that was a big winner for him. He won the, and of course, we had the U.S. Championships as well. That was a huge indoor year. And he wins U.S. and gets on the podium at Worlds. Then he doesn't make the Olympic team. But settled into the 5, World Championship qualifier in 17. Second at Nationals in 18. 4:09 for 1600. Another 62.
Yeah, they've really gotten in a rhythm here in this 62 pace. I mean, again, what we saw in the last race, you can take the standard projections we use in a pace chart and say, oh yeah, they're going to run 12:55. But again, pretty early on in this race, Andrew Bumbelow was on with us before the start of the racing. Said he really was going to wait till 3,000 meters to see where these guys are at. But these guys are in the same place that Andrew thought they would be, is running fast. And when you're talking 12:55, you start looking at 12:53.60, which is Legate's record, and that's stood for a while. And he's maybe getting a little nervous down in Arizona watching these guys run pretty fast. That record has stood since July of 2011.
So the 4 pacers in front, and then it's Ahmed and Lamong. Give it a split, 5:11 for 2,000, another 62. And Mohamed, champion in this event as a junior, but he won the Canadian Junior 4 times. Qualified for the Olympics twice at 10K, once at 5K, and again the best Canadian finish ever at Worlds in 5,000. Very selective in his racing. We do a lot of Canadian events, and you'd always see his mark, but he only ran a few events a year. He really saved the races for the big time. He'd run a big race early in the year, then you wouldn't see him until Nationals at this distance. And you see him, he's in the 4th, but now he's in the 4th position. Very easy pace, he's got great length. 6:14 for 2,400, 63 the last split.
Separation back from this lead group, Bob, to Chris Derrick and Ryan Hill behind them. Derrick been doing a lot of training for the road, getting back on the track a little bit, and we've had, in the case of several of the athletes, a plan to only run 3,000 meters just as part of in essence, a training opportunity on the track. But with that separation now not in the mix in this race, as they now have 6 laps to run.
So we have 3 pacers and then our 4 racers. Ahmed, Lamong, Kincaid, and Scott. That's the order. Coming to the 2,800. Grant Fisher setting the pace. I think he's the youngest guy out here tonight. 7:15 for 2,800, 61.
Yeah, they came through at 6:30.7 at the halfway point. So they are getting instructions on both the back stretch and here on the home stretch, kind of where they are at. They've staggered their coaching staff. The next person they'll hear from is someone they should definitely listen to. You'll see her come into picture right now. Shalane Flanagan, part of the coaching staff of the Bowerman Track Club, saying, hey guys, if we're going to break a record, let's get moving.
She might be a little tougher on them than Jerry.
So about 7:45, 7:46 at 3,000 meters. So they're, again, tipping the scales back under that 13-minute pace. And again, the 4 guys in the mix that are planning to complete the full race as the racers, all with the capability of running fast through that final 1,000 meters. You see Derek and Hill have finished their 3,000 meter distance, and they'll turn to cheerleaders here on the infield as the running continues.
8:18 through 3,200, 63, and Ahmed and Lamong both making the push. Kincaid along with them. Scott has dropped off the pace.
Yeah, Scott dropped off pretty significantly here, so the racing continues. Now Fisher is going to move wide, and Jagger will now take a run. And Woody Kincaid actually also steps off the track. So we're now just down to Jagger, Ahmed, and Lamong.
Interesting. So Kincaid, who ran so well at this distance, this is not his race tonight. He ran with the leaders, but there'll be another day to go for the big mark. So here's Evan Jager, America's best at the steeple. 9:19. We're back to 61s.
And Jagger now steps off the track. So a 2-man race. Little NAFTA action here with Ahmed of Canada and Lamong of the United States. Ahmed, of course, the national record holder of Canada, 12:58.16. And Lamong trying to become just the 9th American to break 13 minutes. Oh, so close last September. Now 3 laps to go.
9:50 at the line. And both these guys running in their form. Lamong always looks a little more physical, and of course he's more muscled at age 35. He looks, though, even at the age, he looks so incredibly fresh when he runs. And of course he's always competed with a lot of joy. And he's reeling in Ahmed here. 10:20 for 4,000. Another 61.
Yeah, definitely now under that 13-minute pace with a little margin here. And both looking very confident as they come down the main straightaway. Chris Derrick urging him on. Grant Fisher, Ryan Hill.
800 to go in the men's 5,000. Mohamed looking to lower his Canadian record. It is 13:01.7. And he's going to put the spurs to Lamong. Let's see if Lopez answers.
Well, Lopez losing some ground near on Ahmed, but he's going to probably get some instructions in his ear to say, just try to stay on, because the American record now in jeopardy as they've turned up the pace here in the last several laps. And with 600 to run, Lamong trying to find something left in the tank, and look at Mohamed.
Ahmed, fastest lap yet. That's a 60 flat as we got to 4,400 and 11:20. Well, this is what it's like for Ahmed running in Canada. He has a lot of races like this where he is on his own. And he is looking strong with 1 to go.
11:49 with a lap to go. Only 18 men in history have gone under 12:50 in the 5,000 meters.
And if he runs another 60 here, he'll do it. And Lamong's picking it up as well, so we'll keep an eye on his mark. And the American record, 12:53.6. Canadian record, 13:01.7.
Well, Bob, in a year where, we're going to get few and far opportunities to get competition at a very high level, such a reflection on the depth here of the Bowerman Track Club as they're trying now to pull Lopez and Lamong around as Ahmed comes down with a flurry.
That last lap was a 60. He's gone 61, 60, 60. Coming to the finish. What's the number going to be for Mohamed? 12:47, destroying his old Canadian record.
And here comes Lamong. Let's see if he can get through. It's going to be a sub 13.
Yes, 12:59. Ahmed officially 12:47.20. Lowers the Canadian record by 13 and a half seconds. Lamong 12:58.78. He PRs by 2 seconds and gets in the under 13 club, and there's that teammates. Those people you train with all the time. And what a group to have at the finish line with you.
Well, last 800 meters for Mohamed, 1:58 as he backs up a 60-second penultimate lap with a 58-second final lap. Puts him number 10 all-time on the world list. That's a new area record as he takes down the American record mark, even though he's the Canadian, but for the region record, he now has that as well. What a performance by Mohamed.
Well, we had 4 guys who were going to be in this neighborhood, but it became pretty apparent these were the 2 that were going to get racy. And Ahmed showing his ability to run out front, maintain pace, and he looks so comfortable. I mean, even when he shifts into gear, those last couple of, the 60 and the 58, doesn't look like he's working that hard. He's that smooth. And again, he has that advantage of that stride and his length and his mechanics, always just beautiful.
Well, record-setting night, Bob. Such an amazing evening and kind of everything going according to plan. Didn't necessarily see everyone finish that we thought would finish this men's race, but in a 2-person race, much like it was on the women's side, both of those performances, new lifetime bests and a shattering of that Canadian record for Mohamed. I'm going to step aside, Bob, and let you carry on, and I'll head down trackside here for interviews. Be right with you.
Great. Paul will be down there, and we're going to visit with our men's and women's podium and let you hear from them. Going to be a lot of happy people. We should point out that there were 2 other finishers in the men. Mark Scott, 14:13.93. He did finish the race, as did Woody Kincaid, who ran a 14:14. And we thought both of them might be in our racy group, but they chose to back it off tonight. But next time we're out here, I bet we have another 5,000 in our next event. And I bet those guys, it may be their turn to run for the big time. But some excellence here in Portland tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. Stick around. We will have interviews in just a couple of minutes with our men and our women. So just to recap, the 1-2 finish in the women, top 15 marks all time in the women's meet for Shelby Houlihan and Karissa Schweitzer. And Houlihan lowering her American record to 14:23.92, and Schweitzer also beating the old American record 14:26.34, and just completed Mohamed. Canada resets his mark, destroys it 12:47.20, and Lopez Lamong improves his PR, goes 12:58.78. More to come from the Portland Intrasquad Meet 2. Again, don't go anywhere. Interviews coming up. You're watching USATF.tv.
Thanks very much, Bob. It was great to talk to the women after their successful run, and the guys did not disappoint. Mo, before we talk about the Canadian record, and you now number 10 all-time on a list of some pretty amazing runners over the years. Just talk about, watch the women, you see them do what they do. Does that kind of like, we got to come up with something big tonight?
Yeah, it definitely put the pressure on us, but I don't know. Like, it was kind of weird. I was super nervous before that, and just the way that they attacked that, and how, Shelby finished over the last 600 meters, and Karissa was right there with her. And once I saw that, I was like, just do the same kind of thing, stay composed. Let your teammates do the work for you as much as they can. And then once it's your turn, I just said, here we go. And just attack it, stay smooth, stay relaxed, stay calm, stay on top of your stride, and just try and bring it home. And with 2 laps to go, I saw it was something 40, I don't know, like, was it 10:40 something, 40, 48, 49, and I was just like, you can run too flat. You know what I'm saying? Like just you've done too flat all your life, you know. So just try and do that, and yeah, that's what I tried doing, and I just kept hearing 60s, which is what I wanted to hear, and that just kind of helped me build momentum. And you know, I just got to like 200 meters to go, and I just said blast it, try and blast it as hard as you could. And yeah, I'm excited. It's something that I've been working really, really hard for. It's been extremely challenging year. You know, right now I'm speaking with you, but honestly, like I don't even know where the hell I am, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like I've had that feeling for the last 4 months. You know, and you know, luckily we have a good group, great training partners, and we just stick with it. Tried like coming up with challenges, and you know, it was great to deliver this.
Yeah, and you know, another record, and one again. You just put so much distance between you and the rest of your Canadian field. So you send a message, kind of thinking long term about you know, next year in the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, last year like it was like big breakthrough, sub 13, sub 27, and then I made the podium. And you know, this year I just said no limits. You know, like that was I really like. You know, I'm content with where I am in my life. I'm hungry, obviously, but I wanted to get a medal. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to win the Olympics, and you know, for that to get postponed, I just told myself, you know, try and like bridge the gap. You know what I'm saying? Like mentally, all the barriers. You know, I saw those guys run 12:43, you know, like 2 years ago, and I was kind of like distraught after seeing that, how easy they made it look. So last year, once I made the podium, I just said, you gotta get yourself like that, you know, 12:40 something. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta mentally give yourself the hope. You know what I'm saying? That when you line up with those guys, you know, you can stand shoulder to shoulder with those guys and say, hey, I'm a 12:40 something guy, 12:50 guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I can beat these guys. You know, so that's what I just wanted to do, and it's good to do it. So yeah, excited.
Well, we go back to September, Lopez, and Mo was there as well. We had this phenomenal experience, really a wonderful celebration of the sport at the Nike campus for that 5,000, where Woody kind of was the star. You come so close to that sub 13. Was it grinding on you all this time? I mean, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I give all the credit to my teammates. I don't think I would be able to do this without my teammates. You know, I think, you know, sometimes when you're just working, you know, grinding and things like that, you see your teammate, you know, sweating out there and doing everything they can. We're all building from each other. I think, you know, seeing Woody breaking 13 last year, and I think it's a great thing to be able to, like, you know, kind of like said, hey, I want to be able to break that too, you know. And I think, you know, I saw Mo broke in Rome, and then Woody came out and did the same thing, and Mo did like all the work for Woody to do that. And today is just another like stepping stone for that, like, you know, trying to like get to that, like, okay, break the 13. Once you break the 13, then you work on that thing, and you know, and I think today is a big moment, and you know, I want to, you know, thank all my teammates for doing this, and you know, everybody who came here to like support us. And you know, I know it's not big crowd here, but you know, again, we just go out there and work together. You know, it's a great thing to come out and like break 13 tonight.
Yeah, well, the good news is there was a big crowd at home watching, and I guess in that sense, and you've been such an inspiration to so many who follow the sport, who run in the sport. What message do you send to kind of the everyday runner or the young runner who's watching at home, who says, man, this is, you know, I lost my senior year, or I'm not able to compete in some of these meets that I was looking forward to. You guys have just come out and said, pandemic, screw you, I'm going to run fast, and that's an important message, I think.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that the message to the young guys is like, you know, don't set your limit, and sometimes we all go through a little bit of hiccup and things like that. Use that as your things that you can work on, few things that you want to be strong in, and so I think we are all in this together, and you know, just trying to see like what would be the next opportunity, and don't limit yourself to just say like, okay, I'm just gonna put all my season in a bucket and call it a year. So I know, go out there and work the best you can. I think everything, once we pass this thing, I want you to come here and do well. And so I think, again, we set up and we're not be able to run something, and you know, we kind of just like throw the season out, and because Olympics was fun, and so I, you know, just trying to do something together, and here we are.
Yeah, well, it was very entertaining, and thank you guys both for taking the time to speak with us. Bob, I can now tell you officially that amongst the three of us, only one has not come anywhere close to breaking 13, because this guy did it tonight, and this guy has re-ratcheted the Canadian national record to some rarefied air. It was a special night here at Jesuit. Back to you.
Love you guys.
All right, thanks, Paul. Great to hear from those two. And the will to race and the will to win, very strong even in this very strange year. Paul will be back and we'll put a bow on tonight's race. Again, the first of what we hope are several more featuring great American and Canadian and British and maybe some other racers of the Intrasquad meets. Again, we'll have more information on future meets as we go. Watch us on social media. We'll let you know when something's coming up. Paul will be back in a few moments. You're watching USATF.tv.